So black, let's talk about it. I like big things, that anything smaller in this room would just not look correct. Someone that I was dating, and this was after Jim had passed away, me to find someone else, and I know that somebody else is out there. Just let me know if that's you. Hey Roomies, it's Roma, and today we are gonna take a tour of my dining room. And you know me, I have to be different, and I like big things, so we have this big table. One of the things I was thinking of when we moved into this house is I felt that this area definitely should be a dining room, even though we had a dining room table that seats 8. It was gonna be too small for this space. And I wanted to host larger dinners for the holidays, so Christmas, Thanksgiving, and that sort of thing. And we do have a lot of family and friends that we consider family, and family that come in from out of town. And so I knew if I was going to host, I would need something big, and this is what we have. So the table and chairs are from Renee Cazares. They are a furniture company that I found at World Market. And they only work with interior designers. And the other thing I think I will mention is the table in the form that you see it does not exist. So I designed this for our space. They have a table like this, but the dimensions and the way that it has a double head on each end, we created that to fill the space because I was thinking that anything smaller in this room would just not look correct, or trying to figure out other things to put in the room to fill the space was just gonna look weird. So I decided to fill the space with this dining table, and my daughter's piano and some other art, just to fill it out. So it is closer to Thanksgiving, so that is why this is still set up. I did another video and talked about Thanksgiving tablescape, and so that's why this is set up. But the thing that is my favorite thing, I think, about this dining room table, other than the size, is I really like the color. I like to decorate with contrast. And so the dark wood of the table grain itself and the white boucle, to me, sort of stands out a lot. And I like the contrast of that. The chairs are very comfortable. They're very durable. The wood is, it's a durable wood itself. The other thing I like too is the base of the table and how there is a huge plinth in the middle of the table, in the center that holds the table up. And then there are these sculptural shapes on the ends that sort of add to the end of the table. So forgive me for that noise. And so I like how it's just sort of sculpted into this dimensional shape on the end. You don't really see that until you pull the chairs out, but I liked that feature of it. It was actually one of the things that drew me to the table itself. I really liked that. And I also like that these arm chairs, I like the boomerang look of the arm. And I like the color of the wood itself, like I said, and I really like how you can see the grain, even though it's stained. Sometimes you lose some of that element, and so I like that. I also like the handles on top. Not that you are really pulling the chair in and out that way, but I like the element of that too. It just gives it a different sort of look, just another element to add, something to talk about, something else to see, something I think that gives it a little more interest. So I love their style. It's just so different and so modern and very large scale. I like big things, but I like that particular furniture because it just takes up a lot of space, and it really sort of commands the room sort of thing. I don't know. It's kind of like me in a way. Take up a lot of space, command the room. I do my own thing, and I think that's kind of the other reason I fell in love with it also. And the other space the other thing I like in this space, I think is one of my favorite pieces, is this art. Her name is Ebony, and I bought this at the Craig Tracy Gallery in New Orleans. So we were on a trip with a friend who was celebrating his 50th birthday, and I was with someone that I was dating at the time, and we were walking to try and find some place to eat, and we walked past the gallery, and this piece of art was in the very back of the gallery, and as we walked by it, it stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, I should go in there and look at that. So I went in and looked at it and talked with the artist's brother, who was there that day, and he gave me some information about it, talked it over, and she came home. Finding Ebony on a trip with someone that I was dating, and this was after Jim had passed away. He and I sort of bonded over loss, which and sometimes that works for a relationship and sometimes it doesn't. And for us, I don't think that was the challenge. I think our relationship had other challenges. At any rate, we found that picture while we were on vacation, and it was nice. We took several trips together. I really still care for him. He just decided that there was somebody else better for him, and I'm fine letting him explore that. It's just one of those things where you try and date and it didn't work out. And so I'm not mad or angry about it or anything. You just move on. And that just means that there's somebody else for me too, and that he wasn't my person. And that's part of what dating is, I think. You try it, and if you sort of make it work together, it does. I think that's one of the things that worked with me and Jim is, we dated and we were together for 15 years. And, we did a lot of things, I think, for us that worked. And I think that's part of dating. You find this person and you both try to make an effort to make that work into the relationship after, all of the, I guess, hormones of all of that sort of die out or whatever. You make an effort to sort of continue to make it work. You show up for each other, you go out to dinner with each other, you call each other, you make plans. And the other thing I have added to this room is I think it just needed a little more light or something in the corner. And so I bought these. These lamps came from Crate and Barrel or CB2, I don't remember exactly, but it is one of those. Same company, different stuff, but basically the same thing. I just needed something to sort of fill in this window here. Plus it gives it a little more light, and then at night, these are on at night, so it gives it a little more ambient lighting in this area. I bought these baskets. I don't remember where these came from, but I'll try and remember and maybe link it down below. I just needed a little more something in the space. I try to fill in empty spaces so it doesn't feel too empty, but also doesn't feel too cluttered. I like things to sort of feel collected, but not cluttered. And I know some of you look at some of my things and say the opposite of that. But to me, it's more collected. And so that's the kind of feel I went for. This actually was a bench that was in my daughter's room. I'm at the foot of her bed. When she had her other bed, there was more room in there for that. And when she got her new bed, there was no room to sit this at the foot. It's just too small of a space. And so I didn't really have anywhere else to sit this. And so I have just sat it under here. I didn't think it was gonna live here this long, but there it is. And so that was the only other place for it. So that's where it is. And I just kind of like this vignette all together with the art and the baskets and the lamp. It kind of fills out this wall a little bit better. And it just, I don't know, it kind of gives it a gallery feel, I think, in some ways. I don't know, it's just one of my favorite spaces in the house. The other thing I liked was I was trying to find a way to tie in some of the black elements I have in here. So I framed out this area with paint just to signify this is the dining room. I think sometimes when you have open spaces, these open concept rooms, it's hard to sort of define different spaces. I know the walls sort of do that, but I also wanted to make it feel a little more intimate. And so that's why we framed out this area with the black paint. And then I had him also paint the ceiling here, just to sort of make it feel a little more cozy and to tie in those elements. I like the black. I don't think it makes it feel too claustrophobic or bring the room down or anything. I actually think it sort of ties everything together. So black, let's talk about it. And not black me, but just black color, accent colors that I use throughout the house. I really, at first, didn't think I was going to do so much of it, but I think once I started it, I just couldn't get enough. Does that sound familiar? So we just kept adding it and then trying to find other places to add it, but then add it in a correct and tasteful way. So I think if I had painted all of this room black, I think it would have a totally different feeling and not be, to me, as classy or classic or timeless, I think, as it is with just the accents. And so just adding the accents that frame the room, frame the spaces, pull in black from some of the other pillows and accent pieces that I have, painting the dining room ceiling over there black to sort of tie it in with the other rooms, I think sort of ties it together, still keeps it classy, and it's not overwhelming. Because black can be that way. You just kind of have to get used to it. I've always liked branch sculpture lighting. This is not an original branch light. I just like the look of that. It's also a lot cheaper than the branch light because I couldn't afford that. So this was my compromise without spending $30,000 on a light. So I think I got this on Wayfair, and I have a similar one in another room, just a different size, to sort of tie all the lighting together. And so that's why that's there. And this, of course, is my daughter's piano. I think I've talked about this in another video. And we actually got this piano from one of our neighbors across the street. He was moving and couldn't fit it into his new apartment and or his new townhouse that he was buying. And he asked us if we wanted it, and I was like, free piano? So my daughter is taking lessons, and she's doing very well with that. They actually have a winter recital coming up, and so she practices on this probably every day. I told her if she didn't, I was gonna sell it, since she begged me for a piano. But she does practice on it probably about 15 or 20 minutes every day. Her lesson is a half an hour. Once a week, so I figured if she's practicing at least half that time, you know, when she's practicing, it sort of takes care of itself. But this is another one of my favorite things. I think Alexa had asked for a piano when she was a little girl, and I didn't know what she was talking about when she was asking for an ayano. I didn't know what that meant. And then we went somewhere and they had a piano, and she ran up to it, ayano, ayano, and she's banging on it. And I was like, oh. That's what that is, ayano. So yeah, it was just, when Alexa was little, she would always talk and say things, and you know how when you're a parent, you can sort of decipher what they're saying, even though you don't really know that's the word, or they're saying the word incorrectly. And you don't want to correct them because it's so cute when they're saying the words wrong. And so for the longest time, she had been saying she wanted to play the ayano. I want ayano, I want ayano. And I was like, what is an ayano? And we were looking at houses, because we were moving, because my husband was going to be transferred to another hospital, and the rule is he could only be 20 minutes or so away from the hospital. And so we had been looking at houses, and one of the model homes had a piano in it. And Alexa screams, ayano, ayano, and she goes running over to the piano, and she's banging on the piano, and I was like, that's what an ayano is. And so we finally put two and two together, and she's always wanted an ayano. And when we were able to get this one for her for free, then I was like, yeah, you can have an ayano. The other other elements over here are the plants, which I need to water. They were my husband's. He was the gardener. He was the plant person in the house, and sometimes I forget to water them. But these are very hardy. They survive pretty well without being watered. ZZ plants, we've had these since they were little plants, this size, and I just put them here to sort of break up this area, kind of soften this corner a little bit. The pots, I think I bought these from Home Goods years ago and just mixed them with these ones that have feet on them. So there's 2 of each of those, 2 of the black squares, 2 of the ones that have feet, and I have another middle one that has another plant in it. That also came from Home Goods. But it kind of gives you this concrete sort of look, which my husband really liked. He liked things sort of simple and clean lines and that sort of thing. So he liked these. We had another plant in here, but it died. So we took the plants that were in this out, and I just never put another plant in there. So I just sort of grouped these together. And then last thing are these baskets, and these actually have towels for our pool. So someday when we get a pool, we'll have these close to the exit so you can grab a towel on your way out. So this is today's video talking about the dining room, and I hope you enjoyed it. I just hope that you take away from this, not the scale of the room and the big grandness of that, which it is, but take away doing something like this, if this is your inspiration, but do it for the size of the room that you have, the scale of the room that you have, and within your budget. I say this all the time. I know that I'm very fortunate to have a lot of nice things and to have a big house and all of those things. And I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just grateful. And so I say these things knowing that not everybody lives like this. So take away from this, doing it your style, on your size, on your budget, on your scale, and make it work for you. I'm not saying you should live like this, because not everybody does, and I would be stupid to say that or expect that that's how everybody lives. I know not everybody lives like that. But I just try to give you inspiration on how I design things to sort of help you find your own style and your own way of doing it. I really enjoy this space. I know it's large, and that is one of the things I like about it. And to me, it was a challenge to find something that worked. And so I was fortunate to be able to take on the challenge and make it work. And you know, it just, to me, it just made me a better designer, having to find this furniture and to create this space and make it feel, I think, luxurious and upscale. And so if you have lasted this long and saw the end of the video, why don't you go down and click that subscribe button, the like, and the notifications bell so that you know when we're uploading all of this classiness. And I look forward to creating with you. Thanks so much. Jim and I, as a couple, as a unit, and also when Alexa came to our life as a family, would always plan things to look forward to. And I think that that is one of the things that always sort of made us a better couple, is there's always this plan for our future. And so I think that's one of the things that I think when you're dating as a couple, you sort of miss, is I think there's this less of an effort to sort of plan things and sort of, well, we're just gonna see how it goes, and we're just gonna, what's the saying, feel the vibe, or whatever that term is that people sort of use, and just sort of, you know, try and do that. And I don't believe in that. I think either you're working towards something, or you should probably work on something with someone else, and maybe I'm not that person. And so I really am fine with that. It just leaves him with the person he thinks he found for himself, and me to find someone else. And I know that somebody else is out there. Just let me know if that's you.